It's 1:30. I'd like to call the October 19, 2015 meeting of the Traffic and Transportation Commission to order. Roll call, Commissioner Witcher.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Littlefield.
Here, sir.
Commissioner White.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Hale.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Schuline.
Here.
Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Commissioner George.
Here.
Commissioner Yonkel. She's not here. Do we have a motion concerning the minutes of the September 21st, 2015 meeting?
Move that they be approved as submitted.
We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Witcher. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Hale. Any discussion? We have a motion to approve the minutes of the September 21st, 2015 meeting from Commissioner Witcher, seconded by Commissioner Hale. Can I have your votes, please? Okay, item is approved. Okay, we go on to item 2A, election of officers. We need a motion concerning the chairman spot for next year from November to October.
I would move that Commissioner Kula stay on as chair.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Witcher that Commissioner Kula stays as the chairman. Do we have a second?
Second.
And we have a second by Commissioner Schuline. Do we have any other recommendations, nominations for the chairmanship? Okay. All right. We have a motion that Commissioner Kula stays as the chairman for the next year from Commissioner Witcher, seconded by Commissioner Schuline. Your votes, please. Okay. There's one other spot that we need to fill. It's the vice chair spot. Can I have a motion concerning the vice chair spot?
I move to nominate Commissioner Witcher to continue in that spot.
We have a motion from Commissioner Littlefield to keep Commissioner Witcher as the vice chair. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner George. Do we have any other nominations? Okay, we have a nomination from Commissioner Littlefield that Commissioner Witcher stay as the vice chair, seconded by Commissioner George. Votes, please. Okay, item is approved. Okay, we go on now to item 3, reports on licensed taxi and wrecker service. Sir?
Afternoon, Commissioners. This is the third quarterly report on taxis. We got 36 new drivers, 94 renews, 3 exempts, 1 replacement. Vehicle inspections would be 74 passed, 20 did not pass. Had 3 complaints, 8 investigations, 9 field inspections, and 19 citations issued. On limousines, be 13 new permits, 7 new. On vehicle inspections, be 34 passed, 7 failed. On carriages, be 4 new, 3 renewed. On the carriages that passed was 3. Had 2 complaints in carriages and 1 investigation. On pedicabs, 6 new, 1 renewed. 2 replacements, 4 inspections on their vehicles, and on shuttles had 2 new, 10 renewed, 1 exempt, and on their vehicles 7 passed and 4 failed. Any questions?
Does anybody have any questions for the sergeant? All right, thank you very much for your time and your effort. Item 4, the consent docket. There are no items. We now go on to item 5, 5A. Tom Rasdale, owner, doing business as Tom's Town Car, to consider an application for a certificate of public convenience and necessity from Tom Rasdale, doing business as Tom's Town Car, to operate 10 vehicles in limousine service. Do we have anybody here to speak on this item? Can we have staff input, please?
Okay, you've got a complete application before you, and staff is recommending approval as submitted.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion concerning item 5A?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hale to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Commissioner Witcher. Any discussion on this item? Okay, we have a motion to approve item 5A from Commissioner Hale, seconded by Commissioner Witcher. Can I have your votes, please? Okay, item is approved. We go on to 5B, Jordan Kramer and Tyson Helson, owners, doing business as 1902 Limo LLC. Consider an application for a certificate of public convenience and necessity from Jordan Kramer and Tyson Helson, doing business as 1902 Limo LLC, to operate 20 vehicles in limousine service. Anybody here to speak on this item? Can we have staff input, please?
Okay, you've got our comments before you. The only thing that I think I'll draw your attention to is on page 10 of the report, there are a series of vehicles that are listed. We have had to strike out 4 of them off that particular list. Now, it's not to say that the company has to start service with these vehicles. However, the reason why 4 were removed from the list is because their seating capacities aren't in conformance with the standards set in code for limousines, which requires vehicles to have seating capacity of at least 5 and no more than 15. So there's one vehicle in here that's got a listed capacity of 3 persons, which makes it fall out from the limousine criteria, and then 3 others have got capacity stated in excess of 15. So the remaining vehicles are sufficient to be used for limousine purposes, and their application is for a license to operate a fleet of up to 20 vehicles. That would need to be in conformance with our ordinances, and therefore we would recommend approval of the application as it's been presented.
We have a motion concerning item 5B.
I move approval.
We have a motion from Commissioner George to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Schuline. Do we have any discussion on item 5B?
I have a question for staff, just out of curiosity, the vehicles that have over 15, there's the Hummer with 28 and Escalade with 24, what would those be categorized as within the city, if they're not limos?
Well, our ordinance doesn't address a capacity that size.
My apologies, my mic was hidden. The city doesn't deal with vehicles over the capacity of 15 because those would be considered what you could term as party buses or vehicles that would then be subject to federal regulations instead of city regulations.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion on item 5B? Okay, we have a motion to approve item 5B from Commissioner George, seconded by Commissioner Schuline. Can I have your votes, please? Okay, item is approved. We go on now to 5C, Jasmine Enterprises, LLC, doing business as OKC Green Taxi, to consider an application for a certificate of public convenience and necessity from Jasmine Enterprises, LLC, doing business as OKC Green Taxi, to operate 150 vehicles in taxi service. Anybody here speak on this item? Would you like to speak, or are you just here if we need to talk to you? Yes, sir. Okay. Very good, thank you. Can we have staff input then?
Okay, you've got a complete application before you. I will note that I've received a message from the operator of Thundercab, and I've distributed copies of that to every member of the commission so that you have that information. You've got, like I said, we've got a complete application before you, and staff would recommend approval as submitted.
Thank you very much. We have a motion concerning item 5C.
I'll move approval.
Okay, we have a motion to approve item 5C from Commissioner Witcher. Do we have a second on this item?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Miller. Okay, any discussion on this item?
Is there anyone in opposition to this here to speak today?
No, there's only the applicant here. Oh, we have a new person just walked. Did you have a 5C? Oh, we do. All right. Carl, if you'd like to come on up. Can I have your name, your address, and you have up to 5 minutes, sir.
Okay, my name's Carl Gaskins, and my address is 1424 Northwest 28th Street in Oklahoma City. 5C, that's Green Taxi, and I don't think they should be allowed to operate, just straight up. They've got history. There's nothing changed here. They changed the name on the owner, changed the name of the company. Email address is the same. Cars are the same. People running the show is the same. I don't think the city should expect them to do anything differently now than anything they've done in the past. It's just, I think, bad business. It's given the industry a bad image.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sir, did you want to speak, or are you fine just, okay? Any other discussion on item 5C? Yes, sir?
I just had a question about the email that Stuart had provided. There's some pretty strong allegations made in this email. One of them was that even after we had revoked their license, that they had continued to operate. Is there any verification to this, or is this just random, or?
Sergeant, do you have some comment on that?
During the initial process, I started in OKC Green, and then afterwards, I've been getting multiple phone calls about OKC Green operating illegally. Got an email from Dan Goodman at the airport, and an OKC Green taxi showed up on 10/5 this month at about 9:40, getting into the staging lanes. Couldn't confirm why they were over there, but they left before PD, the officers out there, were able to get there. I can't confirm or deny anything. I did get 2 emails from Thundercab showing, giving me video of voicemail, or excuse me, voice recordings of them calling OKC Green. One sounded like it was Kazi Jr., and the other one was a female, which I didn't know the name, who that was. But it appeared that, or it sounded like they were still dispatching Green taxis out when they were revoked. Oh, excuse me, the first one was after they were told not to operate because of insurance reasons. The second time was after they were revoked. Can't confirm or deny those either, but I got sent those 2 emails on there.
Excuse me, did I understand that you had received an email from the airport?
Yes, from Daniel. That was on.
And that was their statement that they were there after
Yeah,
the
I did have a picture that shows an OKC Green taxi going to the staging lanes. Like I said, I could not confirm what they were doing there, but they left before the officer arrived. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you. So did you want to speak now? So if I can have your name, your address, and you have up to 5 minutes.
My name is Qazi Islam, about the Jasmine LLC. So it's not right, sir. All information I give all the drivers and owner-operator, so all is everything is ground. But I don't know who did it. I don't know. I have no idea, sir. So because we obey the law.
So you're saying that your dispatch wasn't receiving phone calls
But
and dispatching cars?
Dispatch sometime, it is because it's still the phone is ringing, but we get dispatch, but we pass sergeants, we send the message to the surgeon. So what I do, the surgeons, he told the message, the email, that you can do it, but a different company. I send the different company, 1-2 calls, I can send the different company.
Right,
not
so
us.
when your phone rang, your dispatcher
Yes.
answered the phone, you're saying they contacted other companies
Right.
to go do the run?
Right, sir.
Not to your car?
No, sir, no way.
Okay, and then as far as one of your cabs may be in line at the airport?
I have no idea, sir. I don't think so.
Right.
Because I messaged to everybody to ground it.
Right, so you told your people that they couldn't do it?
Right, because some owners own the car.
Right.
But I have no idea, but I don't think so, because they didn't have any insurance, I don't know, sir.
Okay. Does anybody have any other comments or questions for the applicant? I think, okay. Nobody else? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, any other talk on item 5C? Okay, we have a motion.
Well,
No,
I've
hold
got
on
a
one second.
question.
Yes, sir.
I guess this insurance verification that's attached has been verified, it's not forged like it has been in the past?
The insurance certificate has been verified as a policy with that company,
Okay,
yes.
is that a month-to-month payment? So it could be out of, like, next month, it could be out? Is that something we just have to stay on top of as a city, to make sure that they're paying their bills?
On this certificate, in this particular certificate, if you'll notice at the bottom, the city of Oklahoma City was actually named a certificate holder, and we would be notified.
Okay, thank you.
Addressing the certificate, I did notice that you have, you'd made a statement that your drivers are owner-operators, but yet your certificate says that these are specified items but you don't have checked on here non-autos. Does your carrier know that you don't own these vehicles, that you're...
Yes, sir.
So they know that the vehicle's registered to someone besides your LLC?
Which one, sir?
Your insurance company?
Yes.
They know that you do not own the vehicles, that your drivers own their vehicles?
The insurance know that. The 5 cars is on me. The first 5 cars, and some cars are owner-operator.
Well, because the titles that you submitted are not under the LLC name. They're under your individual drivers, which means that you don't own them.
Yeah, some owners-operators.
I'm lost. I'm sorry. I thought you said that you own the first 5 vehicles. Is that correct?
Yeah, 5 vehicles, not all here, not in the papers. It's a different owners, but under the green taxi.
Okay.
Yes.
So you've got 5 vehicles plus these that are not titled to you?
Right.
Okay, because your certificate doesn't show that you're covered for non-owned vehicles.
What is that, sir?
It doesn't, this doesn't say that you're covered for vehicles that you do not own, unless they're specifically named on your policy.
As long as a green taxi, they covered, sir.
Okay. I don't mean to belabor this, but it's just because we've had documents that were not correct before. That's why I'm making an issue of it, and I have questions about it, because I just want to make sure we're all on the same page, that you do have the correct coverage.
Yes,
That
sir.
whoever your insurance company, I think they're out of
Progressive.
Kentucky, that they're aware of the situation. They know which vehicles you own, which vehicles you don't own, and that everyone flying under your flag has coverage.
Yes. They know that, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
Has that been verified as far as the vehicles themselves? Not if a policy is enforced, but if the vehicles that are being represented as being covered are truly covered?
I'm going to see if I understood your question.
Okay.
If I do not, please clarify. The verification is that 5 vehicles are covered by this policy. So 5 vehicles owned by yourself are covered by this policy. That's the verification. That is all that if there's a different policy, or if you have something else that for non-owned autos, I do not know. Did that
All in the
answer
same
your actual
policy.
question?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
The same policy.
From my edification, does that, since the vehicles represented with the titles, the copies of titles in here, don't appear to be owned by this company, the insurance is for vehicles owned by this company, do we have a complete and application that satisfies all the requirements of the ordinance? It doesn't seem like we do.
Let me go to the ordinance really quickly, just a second. You'll give me a moment?
As far as what this certificate is saying,
Yeah.
excuse me for interrupting, but what this certificate is saying is that any vehicle that's covered by this policy is going to be specified. Now, he doesn't necessarily have to own it, but it does have to be outlined on the policy, on the declaration page, that these are the vehicles that we've... The concern is that if we have 5 listed, but we've got 15 more operating that aren't listed, that means we've got 15 vehicles, even though we're able to verify that there's a policy in force.
Well, if I'm right on how I remember this from a year, 2 years ago, is every month there's a verification of how many vehicles are being operated and sent to the insurance company and verified through your office. Is that right, Sergeant? Is that how we do that?
Yes, I'm supposed to get a monthly list of all the drivers and all the vehicles every month.
From them of who's driving for their company.
What cars is taken out.
Right, and then that way you can verify driver's licensing and all that.
And I have not received that in a couple of months from OKC Green.
Right, because, well, especially in the last month, they just haven't been operating. But, and then there was a follow-up from years ago or something. We had an insurance issue, I believe, and we said that there would be a call to verify that they have that list also. Does that happen too, or am I stretching what I remember?
I just recently started checking
Right.
on the insurance policies to verify they were valid
Okay,
in
right.
the airport.
Mhm.
So that's just something I saw.
Yeah, there was something about that, and there was that we would get their list, 32 cars, whatever, but verify all the drivers are fine, and then we would call the insurance company, make sure that they had the 32, because that's what he would do, is he'd notify his insurance company by name and vehicle and give them a copy of the title and all that, saying these are the 32 that are operating.
Okay, Officer, I want to nitpick. Just did I understand that you verified that there's a policy in force, or do you verify the actual vehicles on the policy?
When I checked the new policy this last round, they were only covered for 4 vehicles, and then they upgraded to the 5 when they because they put in the first business license and it was not up to par. The second time they had 5 and it was verified.
Okay, now is this for all cab companies or just in this particular situation?
In this particular situation, I called them insurance.
So you're saying you have your 5 taxis now, and when you're ready to go up to more, you'll notify your insurance company? Is that how it'll work?
Right, sir.
And then you notify him that they're driving
Sure,
for you?
sir. Yes.
Okay? Yes, sir.
According to his application, he has 150 number of motor vehicles in the for-hire business.
Possible.
Okay.
Yeah, those are always a up to number.
Oh, that's an up-to number?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to have 5 to be able to have the 24-hour coverage is what we came up with. But they go in higher, so in case their fleet grows, they don't have to come back to us. Okay. Ma'am, are you ready to? Okay, go ahead.
Just waiting for a break in conversation. Commissioner, to answer your question about the application itself being completed, the requirements from A to H have been provided. The titles are additional information that the owner provided to us. That is, we do not require a title be attached to our application. So to go to the next ordinance, it would be 5624, then we would go to Traffic Commission determining whether or not they comply with those requirements and the other statements.
So do we still have a question about, do we need more proof that there's insurance for the vehicles that are operating branded as, whether owned or not, branded as green taxi?
My only question is, it's been represented that you've got 5 vehicles that you own, but you also have provided titles for additional vehicles, which would put you over the 5 if you own 5.
Yes.
And if it's been verified by the insurance company that there are 5 vehicles, but you've operated more, then that means that you're operating some vehicles without coverage. That's what I'm drawing from that. Has it been verified that he has coverage for 5 vehicles?
That was what we verified 5 at this point for the business license, yes.
Okay. That's my only concern.
Okay. So, Counselor and staff, we do have a complete application as based on the ordinance. Is that correct?
The application itself has been completed. Each of the check marks have been checked, so to speak.
Correct. Okay. Any other discussion on item 5C? All right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Sergeant. Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Witcher to approve item 5C, seconded by Commissioner Miller. Can I have your votes, please? Okay. Item is disapproved. So what I would recommend, sir, is you get with the sergeant and get with staff and make sure all the concerns that have been talked about up here have been clearly laid out, especially the item about the insurance, what type of vehicles, whether you have to own them, whether they're part of your contract, the number of vehicles that you're going to be operating, that matches what's on the insurance policy. So Sergeant, if you can make sure that you work with him and make it very clear what's expected when it comes up here. And then also work with the staff and council to make sure that that's all clear so these questions don't have to come up. Okay? Is there a further clarification?
You might check with Oklahoma Department of Insurance. They'll be more than happy. They've got great staff. They will, if you have any questions, they'll walk you through it.
Okay. All right, then now we go on to item 5D. Mr. Brian Fitz, Director of Operations, Concordia Life Care Community, consider request to change the speed limit on West Britain Road between North Rockwell Avenue and Westgate Road from 45 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour. Anybody here to speak on this item? Okay, yes, sir, please, come on up. If I could have your name, your address, and you have up to 5 minutes.
I'm Brian Fitz. I'm the Plant Operation Director from Concordia Life Care Community. I'm here representing the residents and staff. And our community has been open for 8 years now, and there's another retirement community as well as several churches located on the same street. I've noticed in the 8 years that I've been there, several cars, driving past the speed limit. So as a group of residents, we've met and discussed it, trying to get the speed limit reduced. They came up with 25, but I knew it wouldn't be a 25, but that was their suggestion, so I'm here just to represent them.
All right, thank you very much. Anybody else wishing to speak on item 5D? Okay, can we have staff input, please?
Okay, you've got our complete comments before you. One of the things that we did do when we were looking at this particular application is we looked at the adjacent speed limits posted on West Britain Road to the east and west of this particular section. Britain Road is somewhat disconnected from the arterial system. It's got a full intersection where it meets Rockwell Avenue, but as you go west from there, it actually terminates where it turns to the north and becomes Westgate. In this particular case, Britain really functions more in the capacity of a collector more so than it does in the way of an arterial. It's also kind of got more of a less urbanized feel to it. It's got a cemetery and churches along the south side of the road, and then you've got a few housing additions, and like Mr. Fitz said, there's retirement communities. I believe there's a St. Anne's Nursing Center that's also there on Britain Road. In this particular case, since the speed limit to the east is 40 miles an hour, as Westgate Drive is posted at 25, we conducted a Bella Lights methodology review of the speed limit to find kind of an appropriate speed limit that might be used on this particular roadway. Our analysis using that particular methodology found that 37 miles an hour, it's based on a metric system, would be an appropriate speed to establish on this particular portion of Britain Road. And so based on that, understanding that 45 is too high, considering that we've got kind of a short sight distance condition over at one of the driveways for the Concordia Life Center. We've got 25 miles an hour on Westgate. Since the speed study indicated that, we did a regular speed study and found that the 85th percentile hit at 42 miles an hour, but 37 was using the Bella Light method is probably fairly appropriate for this particular roadway. It's for that reason we're recommending that you consider a speed limit of 35 for this portion of Britain Road. And if you've got any questions, I'm happy to take them at this time.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Sir, could you come on up for just a second? Let me ask you, based upon the staff recommendation to 35, do you have a comment on that?
No, 35 is sufficient, I think.
You think 35 is okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right, do we have a motion concerning item 5D?
I would move to approve this with the change of 35 miles an hour.
We have a motion from Commissioner Witcher to approve item 5D, modifying it to 35 miles an hour. Do we have a second? We have a second from Commissioner Littlefield. Any discussion? Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Witcher to approve item 5D as modified by staff input to 35 miles an hour, seconded by Commissioner Littlefield. Can I have your votes, please? Okay, item is approved. All right. We go on to item 5E, Mr. Burl G. Steelman and Traffic Management Division to consider requests for 3 items to change the speed limit on North MacArthur Boulevard between West Britton Road and West Hefner Road from 45 to 40 miles an hour. 2, change the speed limit on North MacArthur Boulevard between West Hefner Road and Northwest 122nd Street from 45 miles per hour to 40 miles per hour. And 3, change the speed limit on North MacArthur Boulevard between Northwest 122nd Street and West Memorial Road from 45 miles per hour to 40 miles per hour. Do we have anybody here to speak on item 5E? Okay, can we have staff input, please?
Okay, you'll notice that this item is broken into 3 different sections. Mr. Steelman's request looked at altering the speed limit on MacArthur between Hefner and 122nd Street, dropping that from 45 to 40. When we looked at kind of a more broad scope view of MacArthur, there would be adjacent sections to the north and south, which would still be 45 miles an hour in this particular case. So we looked at that. Further to the south, the speed limit set at 40. The north end of this terminates at Memorial Road, and when you go north on Memorial Road on MacArthur, basically the level of urbanization changes. So we just focused on the MacArthur Boulevard corridor from basically Memorial Road south. We did do decision site distance checks at all of the intersections. There are 21 in this particular case. We did find 7 of them, which you will see depicted in our study, where we found site distance conditions did not meet the city's prescribed minimums based on the posted 45-mile-an-hour limit, but they would pass at 40. And so it is for that reason that we are recommending the Commission consider a change to reduce the speed limit from MacArthur from Memorial Road down to Britton Road to 40 miles an hour to 240 from 45 miles an hour. I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Do we have a motion concerning item 5E?
I move for approval with with staff suggestions for the speed limits in 1, 2, and 3.
Very good. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Okay, so we have a motion to approve item 5E from Commissioner Littlefield and a second by Commissioner Witcher. Any discussion on this item? Yes, sir.
Quick, interesting comment. From around Northwest Highway up to Memorial Road, it's interesting that MacArthur Boulevard is just mostly neighborhoods. Really interesting. There's some commercial at 122nd, I believe, and Britton. But I think this is a good thing for this corridor. Thanks.
Okay, yes, sir.
So the Bella light comes in a little bit lower, so can we reasonably expect that drivers will respect a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit based off the Bella light credible speed method?
The Bella light method is more or less an observation on human behavior. It's a measurement of, it's measuring how drivers respond to the built environment by their driving habits. And in this particular case, the driving habit that they're looking at is the speed that they opt to travel. I mean, if you were to leave no posted limits on this particular road, that's what this particular method is trying to predict, how people are going to recognize it. They'll look at the number of lanes, the amount of potential conflict points along the corridor, and then what they decide is kind of a prudent and a comfortable speed to operate at. That's what it kind of predicts. So, yeah, you can see there's one section where the Bella light methodology would predict that the 40-mile-an-hour would probably be all right. There's a couple other sections where it predicts it would the running speeds would probably be above 40, probably closer in the neighborhood of like 45. However, there's a lot of, it's a predictive model. It's trying to gauge human behavior and reactions to that. So one would hope that we would probably get an 85th percentile speed, close to the posted speed limit in this particular case. If you look at some of the study results, there were instances where we had on a couple of miles, we had several vehicles that, when we did our speed study, were observed going greater than 50 miles an hour. So not all drivers are not all drivers are equal. Some drivers are more conservative, others are probably a little bit more aggressive, and so 40 is probably a good fit for this particular part of the city, and it would create a consistent posting on the speed limit from MacArthur all the way from Memorial Road down to Reno, and it would be 40, with that one exception where we've got that reverse S curve that's between Wilshire Boulevard and 82nd Street.
Okay, any other discussion on item 5E? Okay, we have a motion to approve item 5E by Commissioner Littlefield, seconded by Commissioner Witcher. Can I have your votes, please? Okay, item is approved. 5F, Mr. Todd Butler, PE, PTOE, Traffic Engineering Consultants, Inc., consider a request for the installation of a traffic signal on North Ches Hall Road at a proposed commercial driveway to be located approximately 1,850 feet to the south of Northwest 10th Street. Hi there, sir.
Hello.
Can I have your name, your address, and your phone number, please?
Todd Butler, Traffic Engineering Consultants, 6,000 Southwestern, Oklahoma City, representing the developer on the project. The development includes a large commercial development within the southwest quadrant of Northwest 10th and Check Hall. And this particular point of access would require some widening along Check Hall as well as a traffic signal to provide access to that large development.
All right, thank you very much, sir. We have staff input, please.
Okay, you've got our analysis before you. TEC did prepare a signal warrant analysis as part of the traffic impact study for this proposed commercial shopping center. They found that based on predicted traffic demands, that warrant 3, which is the peak hour warrant, which is a warrant that you can use and consider for like large institutional or commercial shopping centers, would be met for this particular location. So their analysis recommends the use of a traffic signal at this particular driveway, which is in the report titled Driveway Number 2. And they also indicated that they're predicting a rather heavy northbound left turn demand into it, so they're recommending that dual northbound left turn lanes be, that Check Hall Road be widened to accommodate a dual northbound left turn lane. Action on this matter will be at the discretion of the Commission. Staff is recommending that, if approved, installation of the traffic signal at this intersection should also include the approval of all the roadway improvements that are identified by TEC in their impact study.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion concerning item 5F?
Motion approved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hale, to approve. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Schuline. Yeah, just saying.
Okay, and is the motion for approval per staff recommendation on this item?
Per staff recommendation.
Thank you. Second per staff recommendation. Okay. Do we have any discussion on item 5F?
Would approving this subject the installation of the light and the widening of the road, the cost of that on the city? Would that go on that ridiculously long waiting list? Or is
the applicant has indicated that they would take care of construction at this they would bear construction costs for these improvements.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Any other discussion on item 5F? Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Hale to approve item 5F per staff recommendations, and that the applicant would pay for the cost of the road work to be done and the signal light. And a second by Commissioner Schuline. Good? All right. Let me have your votes, please. Okay, item is approved.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Okay, we go on now to item 5G. Mr. Kenneth Jordan, consider a request for stop control on Southeast 79th Street at its intersection with Camden Trails Drive. Anybody here speak on item 5G? Okay, can we have staff input, please?
Okay, prior to the meeting, or to this hearing, Mr. Jordan contacted us to indicate that he would not be able to appear to speak on behalf of his request today. So.
All right, and can we have any other further staff input?
You've got all our comments before you. In the particular case of an application like this, it would meet the city's warrants for the use of stop control on 79th Street at Caden Trails Drive.
Sorry, do we have a motion concerning item 5G?
With the applicant not here, I mean, that was just because he wanted to speak. There's no reason why we can't go ahead and approve this if we choose.
Yes, typically applicants like to be here to represent their cases. Mr. Jordan was unavailable to be here to discuss it with you, but there's nothing that would prevent you from taking action on his case.
And I would move for approval.
Okay, we have a motion to approve item 5G from Commissioner Witcher. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second from Commissioner Hale. Sir, did you want to speak or something on this item? Okay, when you get done talking, you need to fill out one of the green cards. And if I could have your name, your address, and you have up to 5 minutes.
Okay. Randy Duncan, 6228 Southeast 79th Street. I would ask that you guys hold off until Kenny's able to be here to talk for himself, because I'm not sure that he got the information across properly, because I live right there, and the problem's not coming off of 79th. The problem is on Caden Trails itself, where there's a dip in the roadway, and the people that are traveling southbound from I-240 on Caden Trails, there's no stop signs whatsoever, but there's a dip at 79th Street, and people are crossing over to the other side to avoid that dip into oncoming traffic. So I'm not sure that he really got his information across.
So in your opinion, the applicant may want to modify his application
I think
than
so.
what was submitted?
I believe so.
Okay, well, then that does place a question that we may want to wait then.
Well, to alter the application is, and it was confirmed with the applicant that he requested just stop control on 79th Street at Caden Trails Drive. He would need to provide a new request if he were to consider something, a traffic control other than that, because the commission can only act on that, which is on the agenda, and the agenda is worded so that this is just a stop control on 79th Street.
Like I said, I live right there on the corner, and I don't know what that's going to accomplish. So that's why I think maybe Kenny had something screwed up in there. So
And is this a recent conversation with him?
he lives right across the street from me. He has been our homeowners association president for the last little while, and you'll see my name signed on the list. I didn't look at it real close when he brought it over to me, but that was my understanding, was to stop the traffic that's north and southbound as opposed to right there at 79th Street.
Well, I'd certainly be willing to modify my motion that we continue this until next month,
That's a good point.
next meeting.
Okay, so would the second be willing? All right. All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner Witcher to delay this item till next meeting, and seconded by Commissioner Hale. Any discussion on item 5G? All right, thank you for your input, sir. Sir, fill out the form, please. Sir, fill out the form here. Thank you. So any other talk on item 5G? Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Witcher to delay item 5G for the next meeting, seconded by Commissioner Hale. Can I have your votes, please? Okay, item is moved. Okay, we go on now to item 5H. Mr. Boyd Fulton, consider a request to establish all-way stop control at the intersection of Prairie Ridge Road and Southeast 82nd Place. Anybody here to speak on this item? Mr. Boyd? Mr. Boyd Fulton? If I can have your name, your address, and you have up to 5 minutes, sir.
Commission. Boyd Fulton, 8508 Canyon Trail Drive, Oklahoma City. This is from the Prairie Ridge Homeowner Association. We get a lot of, which is just south of this one. We get a lot of speeders in the morning, cut through traffic for Tinker, and in the evening, 4:30 or so. Got a bus stop right there. This is our common area for HOA or HOA pools right there. It's just we just need some kind of stop control there. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. We respectfully ask for your approval.
Thank you very much. Staff input? Or is there anybody else wanting to speak on item 5H? All right, staff input, please.
Okay, you've got our comments before you. With respect to the MUTCD warrants for the use of all-way stop control and the city's criteria, this particular intersection does not have the traffic entering volume or the basically the ratio between the side street approach and the main street approach for considering all-way stop control. So for those reasons, based on traffic volumes and the collision experience, staff does not have cause to recommend approval based on the city's criteria as they exist today. So action on this matter will be at the discretion of the commission.
Okay, do we have a motion concerning item 5H?
I'll move approval.
We have a motion from Commissioner Witcher to approve item 5H. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner George. Do we have any discussion on this item?
Stuart, the report says that there's going to be some driveways that fall within the zone that you can't, let's see, how is that worded?
Within the 30 feet of the stop sign?
Yeah, there is one address that's the home at 8224 Prairie Ridge Road that has its driveway is partially impacted by the intersection. It would just mean that, you know, drivers on those approaches, the way the city's ordinance is written, you can't park within 30 feet upon the approach to a stop sign. In this particular case, that would not be on the approach side, that would be on the exit side.
Okay,
but
so
it would result in the driveway being partially within the limits of the intersection. It just might be an unusual situation.
That's no imposition.
It wouldn't be the first.
All right.
Well, and I think possible factors apply, that is, where the pool is, there's a curve in the road, there's a long stretch. Oh, yeah, it's a racetrack. Okay, so any other discussion on item 5H? We have a motion to approve item 5H from Commissioner Witcher, seconded by Commissioner George. Can I have your votes, please? Okay, item is approved. We go on now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. We go on now to item 5I. Mr. Bill Lepper, President, Fenwick Community Homeowner Association, consider a request for the installation of a traffic signal at the intersection of North Pennsylvania Avenue and Northwest 169th Street. Anybody here to speak on this item? Sir? You'll need to fill out one of these. If I can have your name, your address, and you have up to 5 minutes.
All right, my name is Kel Leeper. My address is 17021 Hollyburn Circle in Fenwick. So at this intersection every morning, it has become a nightmare. Just this morning, there were 12 cars. It took almost 15 minutes just to get out because it is so busy. Edmond Public Schools is putting in a new middle school and a new elementary school up this street. Life Church just gets bigger every year. So, and then the restaurants and the strip malls to the south. Our concern is that even though last year there were only 2 wrecks in this area, it'll continue to grow until we do get a stop sign in here. And with the fire station right there, any accident, I mean, if it blocked something like that, that would be unfortunate. So, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Anybody else speak on item 5I? Okay, staff input, please.
Okay, you've got our comments before you. In this particular case, when we reviewed it, the manual on uniform traffic control devices allows us to review an intersection for the use of signalized traffic control under slightly different criteria when the posted speed limit is higher than 40 miles an hour. Now, last time when at the tail end of the commission meeting, there was a direction given to staff to look at basically the speed limits that were posted on North Pennsylvania Avenue, basically north of Memorial Road. That appears at the tail end of your agenda. There's a quick summary that talks about how Penn is posted. The reason why that was brought up is because in this particular part of the city, once you go north of Memorial Road, and headed north on Pennsylvania, the speed limit starts alternating between 45 and 40 miles an hour. So it's not consistently posted. To the south of Memorial Road, it's also posted 45. However, when you get down to the city of the Village and then in Nichols Hills, the speed limits drop down to 35 and then 25 on Penn through Nichols Hills. The reason why this particular intersection will meet one of the signal warrant criteria is based on on the allowances made in the manual and uniform traffic control devices purely on speed. Now, this particular 1 mile of Pennsylvania is posted at 45, but the flanking miles to the north and south are both posted 40. And for that reason alone did it meet one of the criteria for considering the use of signalized traffic control. As far as sight distance goes at the intersection, it does have adequate sight distance. There are there's not a collision experience at the location to suggest that that it's unduly hazardous. As Mr. Leeper did note, that there is a significant traffic volume on Pennsylvania. It runs 25,000 vehicles a day on that particular stretch. However, coming out on Northwest 169th Street is just running under 1,000 on that particular approach. So at this point in time, action on staff does not have cause to recommend a traffic signal purely based on the fact that the reason why it meets warrants is because of the inconsistency the city currently has posted on Pennsylvania Avenue. Probably a better long-term solution to this would probably looking at modifying the speed limit on Penn so it's more consistent through the northern part of the city. But action on this matter will be at the discretion of the commission.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion concerning item 5I?
Motion to deny.
We have a motion to disapprove item 5I from Commissioner Hale. We have a second.
I'll second.
We have a second by Commissioner Witcher. Do we have any discussion on item 5I?
What concerns me about a solution to the problem is the time that it would take to get a traffic light installed there if it were approved. It would take a very long time. And so this particular item could not be altered to discuss a speed limit change to solve the problem. It would have to be a different item.
We would have to bring back a separate item for that.
Would it make sense that if the speed limits north were reduced to 40, it would help resolve this problem?
Well, just looking at the level of urbanization on the Pennsylvania Avenue corridor, when you go north of Memorial Road, the speed limits are almost posted, almost something in reverse of what they should be, because in the areas where you have more intense urbanization, especially commercial development, the posted limit is 45, which is relatively high for an arterial roadway that's got a lot of driveway and side street intersections. You go to the next miles up where the speed limit drops down to 40, and you find there are fewer basically conflict points. And then you go to the next mile up where the level of urbanization increases again and the speed limits increase. So it's somewhat of an oddity, but it would be beneficial from a traffic management perspective and for area drivers if the speed limit was kept consistent on this particular corridor. Now, when you leave the city to the north, it's posted, and go into unincorporated Oklahoma County, it's posted at 40 miles an hour, and when you leave the city to the south, when you enter in the village, it's posted 35. So in this particular case, 40 is probably a more appropriate speed for this corridor. And if we were to run the traffic signal analysis or the warrant analysis at this intersection based on a 40-mile-an-hour limit, it wouldn't meet any of the criteria for considering use of signalized traffic control.
So we could ask you to look at it for those two 45-mile-an-hour spots and come to us next month with a recommendation?
Yes, we can bring an item to basically better regulate or establish a more consistent speed limit on this corridor, and we will do that for next month.
Okay, so that'll happen however this item goes. Does that sound okay to you, sir? Sir, if you could just speak up into the mic.
Yes, thank you. That's great.
Okay. So we'll look for that next month. But as far as this item, any more discussion on item 5I? I know you wanted to say something, Commissioner. You're good? Anything else, sir? Anybody else? Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Hale to disapprove item 5I, seconded by Commissioner Witcher. Can I have your votes, please? Okay, item is disapproved, and we'll look forward to see the item for next month.
And we will have it.
Okay? Item 6, comments from citizens. We do have one here. Jimmy Paris. If I could have your name, your address, and you have up to 5 minutes, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you. My name is Jimmy Paris. I live at 13500 Tuscany Drive in Oklahoma City. I've been a resident of Oklahoma City since 1998. I operate Paris Limousines. I've been in this business since 1988 as a limousine company. So I've seen Bricktown go from nothing to where it's at today. I've seen the city grow. I've seen a lot of things change over the years. We have competed with a lot of companies over the years. I've seen hundreds of companies come completely under. The one thing I will tell you, our company is financially sound. It's not going to go under next week or next month. I'm not a parking lot limousine company, which means that, hey, if you want to rent a limousine, meet me in a parking lot and we'll discuss business. You can actually come to my office. You can see my merchandise. You can see the equipment. We have spent nearly $7 million in limousines and buses in Oklahoma City. We have spent over $10 million in total economic benefits for the city of Oklahoma City. Our payroll is nearly $500,000 a year. We employ almost 75 people altogether. So we are a very big impact in Oklahoma City. When things happen in Oklahoma City that is called for emergency, similar to what happened in the bombing in 1995, we responded. Not only bringing in search dogs to help rescue people, we brought in news media. We brought in people that needed to be there in Oklahoma City. In the tornado of May 20th, 2013, where it took a national news agency to be here to see what happened in Oklahoma City, we were there responding. We worked there for a whole week on that. Our company has been very respectful. We consider ourselves one of the most professional companies in this town. But right now, I've been harassed by the City of Oklahoma City Permit Office and ID Office. It all started with Sergeant Bear 3 years ago. And what she did was every time I would send a driver over there to get permits, she would tell them, you don't need to go there, you need to go to King Limousines. And she would give them information to go to King Limousines because of her gender and her bias toward my company. So she was sending all these companies. We do have all the documentation on that. It has been presented to our attorneys. There is a possible lawsuit on that matter. On September the 4th, we get stopped by Sergeant Bells, and I believe you have a letter there explaining the whole detail of what's going on here. That is absolutely unprofessional what happened there. In all the years I've been dealing with this, I've never seen anything like this. First of all, the requirements in Oklahoma City says that if you pick up in Oklahoma City, you have to have a sticker, you have to have a permit, and you have to have a licensed driver. But if you pick somewhere else, you don't have to have that. That particular driver was stopped, did not even ask for his driver's license, did not ask what he was doing or anything like that. He was stopped because the limousine didn't know how to have a sticker on there. And because it wasn't our fault. As you would read that letter, it was explained to you exactly what the situation was on that. So I believe it's unfair on that. Here's the actual letter, here's the actual ticket for the driver. The pickup is in Norman, Oklahoma at the NBC Suites Hotel, which basically does not require a limousine to have the sticker or the driver's permit on it. You do have a letter intended to each one of you guys on it, and I'm pretty messed up with it because I get coming in my office on October 12th, 2 U.S. Marshals or 2 Deputy Marshals says, you're under arrest. I go, for what? He said, for paying for not having, you got a ticket that you didn't pay for. I said, we don't even know of a ticket that we didn't pay for. So I contacted Sergeant Bells and I asked him, I said, Sergeant, what's going on here? How we issued you a ticket? I said, where is the ticket? Oh, I mailed it, certified mail to you. I said, where is it? Oh, you just received it just the other day. Well, here's what he sent me. He said he sent me a memorandum of Oklahoma City, and then on the back of this, he stapled this ticket on there. This is the ticket that he sent me. Okay, when I talked to the driver, I asked him, sir, what did he stop you for? Did you do anything wrong? No, sir, I did not do anything wrong. So why did he stop you for? He goes, he stopped me because he made a U-turn, turned on his lights because I didn't have a sticker on there. And I said, okay. Did he ask you for your ticket? Nope. Did he ask you for your driver's license? He said, no. Now, I'm not going to take this. I'm sorry. But this is a professional company. When Chad Perry was killed in a car accident, I was the limousine company that took care of him with 6 limousines, and we donated to the city of Oklahoma City. When the labor commissioner passed away, we were the limousine company that took care of him. When the governor's office needed help to bring economic benefits in this town, we were there. When the state of Oklahoma could not even afford the roads, we passed House Bill number 1103 to provide $500 million a year in road improvements in the city of Oklahoma City. I don't see too many limousine companies have stepped up and done what we've done. But right now, I don't need to be harassed, I don't need my drivers harassed, and I don't need my company harassed for anything that we've done, but we've done everything right. We spend $180,000 a year in insurance, and our cars are insured. Every car is stickered, every car is proper, and the treasurer there at the city of Oklahoma City called Sergeant Bells and Lieutenant Hill and said, I don't have time to do these permits. We're 2 people short, it might take me a week or 2. So they knew ahead of time what was going on. And then all of a sudden I get a ticket. And that's all I have to say.
Hold on one second. If I could just recommend, have you gone through the Oklahoma City Police Department chain of command with your concerns? And
Well, first of all, I got a arrest warrant.
Well, yeah, that.
Here's my arrest warrant. So I had to go pay a bill, pay a bills for $750 that I didn't even know we got a ticket on. But if you're too scared to show your face to me, you know where my office is. If you have a problem, come see me.
Well, sir, so if I may just ask, now that you have all this information, have you gone through the police department chain of command up to
No, everything's been turned over to our attorneys.
To your attorneys, okay?
Our attorney says that they will take care of this immediately.
Okay.
They just said that abuse and harassment of businesses is not called for in the city of Oklahoma City.
Okay. So all I would ask.
But I please recommend you read that letter. It's exactly detailed to the penny, to the T, exactly what happened on this particular period of time.
So if I could just recommend to you that you take this through the appropriate chain of command and make sure that they're aware of his concerns, and then, of course, working with the city council if there is going to be some possible litigation.
Right. Sir, I have a quick question for you. The citation, have you set up a court date for that to go to court and talk to the judge and give your side of the story?
November 30th,
okay,
9:30 in the morning.
Perfect. That's how the citation is taken care of. The direct allegations against Sergeant Bales, and you still have that option, is to go through this chain of command and do a complaint.
We did that with Sergeant Bear. Okay. But I don't appreciate it if I have to do, let me ask you something. You got 700 Uber drivers in this city. Tell me, has any of them ever applied for an application to be a permanent driver in Oklahoma City?
I don't have that information.
That is a separate issue.
Yes, sir.
So we have no jurisdiction
I'm
over
here
that.
on the traffic commission.
Yeah. I'm sorry to be harsh on this, but I didn't appreciate
we
2
understand.
deputies coming in to arrest me for saying I had a ticket that I didn't know anything about.
And we appreciate you being here, laying out the information to us. And as the LT said, at court, you'll be able to speak your piece at court concerning the traffic or the citation. But as far as your concern about being harassed, where would the next level be from?
Sergeant Bear is not Sergeant Bales' commanding officer.
Right.
That would be Lieutenant Hill.
Lieutenant Hill.
But even so, I mean, I know you're...
Well, Sergeant Bear was released because of the problem that was going to happen.
Right.
Our attorney worked out a deal with the city attorney to have her dismissed out of there.
Okay, that's information that I don't have details on. But either way, I see you're fired up about that, and that's fine. I see that it's a concern to you, and what I want to do is help you on this matter.
Sir, it's a concern to me if I'm just a one-car company. But when there's an event that you need 20 limousines, or an event when you need major events going on in Oklahoma City, if you had a major earthquake tonight, and you had a 7.3, who's going to be there to help? Who's going to bring all these people in here? It takes companies like us to keep things going. It takes companies like us that are financially stable. Because you know what? What's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of parking lot limousine companies where you go to the parking lot and you collect your money from the guy because you don't know what he has. You know, that's what I'm saying. I just need to be protected because I don't want to basically say, hey, we got a situation here. We bring in a lot of economic benefits to this city. We bring in people who buy and sell city of Oklahoma City.
Sir,
I don't need to be hassled.
I commend you for your past efforts and everything you've done for the city. But the right way to do it, number one, traffic court for the citation. Number two, your allegations against Sergeant Bales. We have a process,
Yes, sir. I understand the process, and I will continue to, and I will meet with it. But I
Okay.
will,
Okay.
The reason I came here because I think that it's very important that you guys understand what we're intended for. You know, I can tell you everything that's going to happen economically because in 2011 we went through the same situation. You know, the oil prices were down, the economy was down, everything was down. I mean, we were in turmoil. Now we're in the same situation we were in 2011, and now we're putting in a bunch more limousine companies. It's very difficult out there. The economy in Oklahoma City right now is not as stout as you think it is. With these oil prices continuing to going down every day, and they continue to go down today, it doesn't help very much for the city of Oklahoma City. So I know that trying to keep a decent company like us in business is very important because what happens if you oversaturate this market and there's no business? You know, I'm just trying to say I appreciate your help.
So when we're done here, if you could get the contact information for the lieutenant to him, so you could talk to the lieutenant who's in the chain of command of your concerns to make sure they're aware of your concerns. There's a specific person that you would need to contact.
Appreciate that.
So if you talk to that person, and then also at the traffic court, if all that still doesn't work out, we'd be happy to hear some more and see if we can help in some other way.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'll get you that information if you can wait for me, please.
All right, very good. All right. Okay, anybody else for, here, my timer ran out, just a second. For citizens from comments, item 6, anybody else wish to speak? Okay, we go on now to reports and other items. Item 7, let's go down through the list here. Commissioner Witcher?
Nothing to report, sir.
Commissioner Littlefield?
Ward 2 comment and then subcommittee traffic calming subcommittee comment. That's a mouthful. In Ward 2, at what's referred to as the Classen Triangle, which is between Western Avenue, Grant Boulevard, and Northwest 63rd Street, at Planning Commission a month or two back, a development was recommended for approval there for a high density, I think it's 400 residential units, and commercial ground floor on that site. It also passed City Council this past Tuesday. And the concerns that Councilman Shadid and I were made aware of by the neighborhood, which is right there, is Gladbrook neighborhood, is what impact that amount of new citizens moving into that parcel would have on traffic. And Councilman Shadid mentioned at the City Council hearing where this was approved, a request that a traffic count be done on Grand, 63rd, and Western on those 3 streets, specifically like 72-hour period, mid-street, where we could establish what's going on there now and then use that as information down the road, no pun intended. If this development does cause a perceived traffic problem, we would have a basis to work with. So I wanted to confirm that count could happen, and I'm happy to visit with you for more details later. The subcommittee on traffic calming in front of you, JB worked really hard to put together a flow chart, which is a proposed flow chart of what something like this might look like. I believe that we're going to be meeting after this meeting to work on this and hopefully have something for you again next month. But take that home and give it a read and be ready for some feedback. And thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Commissioner White?
Nothing to report, sir.
Commissioner Hale?
Nothing to report.
Commissioner Schuline?
Here, thank you.
Commissioner Miller?
Sir.
Commissioner George?
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay. Counselor?
I actually do have something this month. I would like to bring to your attention a small amendment for the ordinance regarding when 5629D. And it would basically be an amendment to strike the word revocation from that provision, and it would state instead that upon suspension or revocation of the motor vehicle for hire company's certificate business license, all driver's permits authorized under the motor vehicle for hire company license shall be suspended and then strike or revoked after that. And if that is something that you would be supportive of in bringing before you as an amendment to the ordinance 5629D.
So an example, Company X, we say that their license is pulled. Right now, the drivers could be suspended or revoked. Is it a or an and, or?
It says suspended or revoked.
So we would have the option of revoking licenses of drivers also currently, compared to just to suspend them.
May I clarify your language?
Okay, please.
Are you saying, when you said licensors, were you referring to drivers?
Drivers,
Okay.
yeah, drivers' permits.
If the company's being revoked, the license would be, or the driver's permit would be revoked. If the company license is being suspended, the driver's license would be suspended under the current.
So under the current, it goes that way, that it has to be the same action for both the company and the drivers. And what you're saying is you might want to bring something to us to consider if we revoke a license for a taxi company, it would be an automatic suspension of the drivers under that company's name.
Yes.
They could go tomorrow and switch to another company and then be activated. Whereas if they're revoked, it's a year that they can't drive at all.
Yes.
That's the concern.
Yes.
Is if we revoke somebody, a company, and they got 60 drivers, even if they had no problem with the issue, something that the company did was wrong, they're driving, doing their things just like normal. If we revoke the company's license, it's an automatic 1 year for all 60 drivers. And what you're saying is we just need to clean that up to say they should not be able to drive under that company, but if they go to some other company, then they're able to be activated. And we need to just clean that up, is what you're saying. Okay?
Question. We revoked a company's license last month. What is the current status of their drivers?
Their drivers decided to either go inactive, and several of them decided not to drive. Several others decided to actually transfer before the revocation was, and so they actually transferred to, I can't tell you which companies, I apologize, but transferred to a different company. And so those are what I know of the status of the drivers. So
I guess what I'm getting at is just because you're associated with a company does not mean that there's no way out currently. We'll move back up. I support the change of the language,
yes.
But we do have that situation currently on the table.
Mm-hmm. And currently, currently the drivers who have not transferred do not have the authority of the company to operate. There is not a company authorization to allow them operation under the company name that has been revoked. However, their license is still their driver's permit is still a driver's permit. And the ones who wanted to continue operating and actually being able to have their permit and go out and make a living had to transfer their license or their permits to another company license.
Okay, but what I'm getting at is if we do not approve this, which, like I say, I do support, those drivers, had we approved the name change, the change of ownership today, they still would have to wait a year before they could drive for their old company.
Let me make sure I understood, if I may. If you're saying if the current company the company that came before us today, if it had been re-established, the drivers who are currently inactive, if they wanted to work for that company and become active again, would they have to go through a revocation? Is that what you're asking?
It's my understanding the way it is right now is if I'm a driver for a company and their license is revoked, then my permit is revoked for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So even if my company changes its name, restructures, that I would not be able to go back to work for them until my personal.
Yes.
So, and this is the reason we need to get it cleaned up.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, it took a moment.
But he brings up a very good point. If the company last month had 20 drivers and we revoked it, those 20 drivers would then be revoked automatically if they were on the books at that moment.
They would go through the revocation process for drivers specifically, but yes, they would be, their permit would go through a revocation process.
And we haven't done that.
The drivers that have been left have gone into an inactive state and have indicated either they have not contacted and we've given notice, they know that the company's gone, or they've told us they've become inactive and they're no longer driving.
Okay, so there's nobody that was working for that company at that time that still had a permit to operate that we had to revoke? When we revoked that company last month,
yes, they
had no drivers on their roll as driving for them. So we didn't have to revoke any of their driving permits.
When they were revoked, when they were revoked, a lot of, there's a 5-day period that they can appeal. And a lot of drivers at that time decided to transfer their permit. And the other drivers have either we've notified and sent out notice, this is what's going on, please transfer. We either have not heard from those drivers and do not know what their condition intents are.
Okay, so it's not as when we make the vote and the lights are green and it's to happen, there's a 5-day period because of the appeal process that the drivers could leave the company before it takes effect. Okay, got it. That's the one thing that I didn't know. Okay, good. So we might see that in the future, is what you're saying. Okay. Any other comments, Counselor? Okay. Staff, LT, anything? All right. Staff?
No, you've got our monthly summary of administratively installed yield control signs and parking restrictions. I did provide in this meeting's agenda a copy of an article that we had, in the staff report that we had presented back in 2013 regarding the Bella Light credible speed limit study methodology, which we use from time to time, but I know that not all the members currently sitting on the commission have had the ability to see that particular article. So for that reason, since we referenced it enough, I decided to do a reprint and as a refresher for the members of the commission who have seen it and to present the material as new for those who haven't. And also we've got the, which we talked about earlier in the meeting, just the quick review of the posted speed limits on Pennsylvania Avenue. Kind of one thing that I'll bring to your attention is you'll see that the 85th percentile speed in this particular portion of Penn seems to run anywhere from around the mid-40s. We did have some high-speed observations which were in the 50s. We had one at the further out you go, we had one that was close to 60, but that's not entirely unexpected at times. But anyhow, we will have an item on the agenda next month to better regulate the limit that's posted on Pennsylvania Avenue. And that's all we've got.
All right. Does anybody have anything else up here in the horseshoe out there? Okay. Can I have a motion for adjourning? Please. Somebody? We have a motion from Commissioner Witcher. Second? Second by Commissioner Hale. Votes? And we're adjourned. All right. Thank you all.